So hello guys, a big welcome to the Manjas Electro Live channel. So today we're going to be doing something that is part of the bigger project that we had already started on, designing the hybrid 6-year-old that is majorly used for determining the force of impact on a child, maybe when a vehicle gets an accident or something. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So here is the project we're going to be working on today. So our aim is to be designing the lower neck bracket V5. So as I explained in the video that I've shown in the description, so let's get started. So first we're going to go to our fusion. Okay, this is the project we're going to create. As you can see here, this is what we're going to create today. Boop. So let's get started. Let's come to design, to this part right here, create new design. Let's close this as well. So let's create a sketch. So we're going to be putting it right here. So let's drop it here. So I'm going to be using this as our reference. So you have, so let me draw out this sketch. You guys will be following in the video. So let me get to this so that you can be as brief as possible. 3.1. I want to create it all on this axis. So let's start. L for the line, 3.1 millimeters. Enter. Zoom in. So the next value we're going to be changing. Let me move this closer to each other. Is the next value is 0.25. So we're going to come here to 0.25 line. From here 90 degrees, 0.25. Enter. Next distance we're creating is there should be a point here at a distance of 1.821. okay, and the vertically 0.563. so I'm going to create a point right here. Come here, create a point. I'm going to drop it right there. Escape. Press dimensions. So I'm going to measure the distance from that point to this. Should be 0.563. Enter. Then the other distance should be what? 0.563, 1.821. Distance from this point to here should be 1.821. Enter. So I'm going to draw a line moving from this point to this point right there. Escape. So then there is a line moving vertically down 0.964. 0.694. okay, 0.694. 0.694. then we have this line which is 1.75. so we're going to come right here, click on line, 1.75. enter. So then you have another line protruding from here which is at an angle of 90 degrees, then a vertical line and 24 degrees between each of them. So I'm going to come here, press line, creating a line with an angle of 90 degrees. So I'm going to come to escape, dimensions D, check the angle between them should be 90 degrees. So after we have done that, we want to create a line vertically down right there, and the angle between them should be 24 degrees. So after we are done with all this, so what we're going to do is we're going to hide the dimensions, I would say. Hide dimensions and constraints. Then I'm going to trim off the extra parts that I don't need to see, this and this. Okay, so there's one more thing I haven't yet done, and that is drawing this vertical horizontal line, as well as completing this part that you're going to see a reason as to why I'm going to do that later in the video. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line. Let's come to line, to draw a horizontal line up to this point right there. Then I'm going to draw another horizontal line from here like this, moving across. Okay, let's first escape that. We're going to draw a horizontal line coming from this point right there, here, then joining that point. Let's come here, then join to that point right there. Okay, so you're going to see a reason as why we're going to need this. So yeah, without wasting any time, let's start extruding. So I'm going to click on this, then click on E to extrude. So we're going to extrude our sketch by a distance of 1.75. This is just the lower section by extruding by 1.75. As you can see, the lower section here has a width of 1.75 as compared to the upper part, which has a kind of wider radius and the diameter based on the circle. So let's do this, which is 1.75. So I'm going to extrude it by, on one side, through that distance should be 1.75 millimeters. Okay, so let's check and see how that has happened. Let's scroll this a bit sideways that you guys can see. So as you can see, that is the distance at which we have moved the body. So 1.75, that's the thickness of the figure we had created. So you can see that we do not have the upper section of our figure. We do not have this yet, and that we have done for a reason. So we're going to create a plane, an offset plane. We're going to create an offset plane on the top here. So let's do that. Let me first spin it a bit. Oops, like so, like that. So this is the back, then I'd like to spin it this way around, like, no, I want to see it from this direction, that, then spin it up. So I'm going to move this a bit here so that it's easier to see. So let me make sure that whatever I have here is the right thing. So I want to be viewing that, as you guys can see right there, this is the side you want to work on, but I want to spin it, clockwise. Is that clockwise or anti-clockwise? So I'm going to spin it, first establish that, then I'm going to spin it the other way around like that. So After I've done this, I'm going to shrink it a bit. So I'm going to create an offset plane, construct an offset plane on this at a distance of 0. That's fine. Want the offset plane lying directly on the surface of where we want to draw our curved part, which is this. So let's come click on OK, right click, create sketch. So you want to create a sketch on that upper surface. So I'm going to turn it like this. Let me make sure I have it in the right direction. Wow, the thing keeps turning. I don't know why it keeps turning that direction. So let me turn it clockwise, anti-clockwise I mean, again. So I want it facing the other way around, not. So I'm going to turn it up like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a rectangle, but first I'm going to create a centered, because this, if I just decide to create a rectangle here, I want to be able to access the vertices. Let me show you what I mean by that. So as you can see, I'm trying to zoom in, but I can't be able to access the vertices of this solid that we had already created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a centered rectangle. I'm going to come here, rectangle, centered rectangle, to this point. Now what dimensions are you going to use? I'm going to use dimensions of 1.75 and this upper distance from here to here, which is given to us as 1.821. So I'm going to come here, click on the center, create our rectangle. This distance is 1.75. As you can see there, it fits in well. Tab, then we're going to 1.821 right there. As you can see, 1.821 fits in perfectly. Okay, so why have I done that? So I can be able to access the vertices right here. So now I'm going to create the real rectangle that we want. So I'm going to come here to the vertex. As you can see, it snaps automatically, and that is what I wanted. So I'm going to come to here, snap to the edge, click, then I'm going to drag and create our rectangle. So the width is going to be 1.75. Tab, then we're going to create, this is going to be 3.1, which is the length of our rectangle or our body. So I'm going to click on OK, enter. So as you can see, I've created a rectangle on top of another, but that's not really the problem right now. So next thing we're going to do is, as you can see, the distance here is 3.1, and then the thickness of our, this is the length 3.1, and then this is the thickness of our body that we're creating, which is 1.75. So the next part is we're going to create this curved surface, which only comes up as a result of us creating a circle. So our circle is of diameter 2. So we're going to take the radius from here to here, which is 1 millimeter. So we're going to create a circle of 1 millimeter. So that will be the location of the center point of the circle. So I'm going to measure it. I'm going to create a point. So let me first hide dimensions and construction points. Zoom in a bit. So I'm going to come to create point, and I'm going to put my point right there. Great, it snaps automatically. So if your point is not able to snap, that probably is as a result of you not having a vertical line here, which you can just create. You can draw a line right here. This is what I mean. You can draw your line, escape, then make it a construction line such that your point can snap in that middle. So let's zoom in. So now I'm going to create a circle, but still haven't positioned my center point. So I'm going to click on dimension D, click on the point, then click on the surface, the edge that is up. So I'm going to drag it to the side, then I'm going to name it 1 millimeter. Okay, so as you can see, the center point of our circle has moved. So after doing that, if you're in doubt, you can use the inspection feature. Click on the point, then click on the edge, then as you can see, it's showing me 1 millimeter. Okay, so that's okay. So I'm going to close this. So after doing that, I'm going to come to circle here, click on it, but first wait, let's check on what is the diameter of the circle. It's 2 millimeters. So I'm going to come here, click, drag, so it's 2 millimeters, enter. Okay, so you can see our circle is right here. Circle is right here, and now the next thing for us to do is we're going to create a horizontal line. We're going to create a horizontal line right here, so passing through the center of our circle. So what you can do is let me escape. So I'm going to come here, line. Let me just draw a line, not exactly situated at the center, to show you something. Extrude, and I'm going to say turn it to a construction line. So I'm going to make this line and this point coincident. So I'm going to come and click this point right there. So you see, it snaps automatically to that point, which is what I wanted. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to create tangent lines up to the edges here. You see, one good thing of drawing this rectangle is it gives us the edges. So I'm going to click on line again, zoom in a bit right there, as you guys can see, and I'm going to draw a line up to this edge, snap a line from here up to this edge, snap. So these are tangential lines. So after we have done that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the parts that we do not need, like this rectangle up here. Remember, all you want to do is we want to generate this curved surface. That's what we're working on right now in order to put here. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the trim tool. Come to trim here, then let's trim off some of those unwanted edges of ours. So I'm going to trim off this, trim that, trim that, trim off that, trim off that, let's trim off that, trim. So I'm going to trim this off as well, trim off. So trim this off, trim. So I'm going to trim this off, trim off, trim off, trim off, really trim off. So yeah, so that's basically it. So we want to just remain with this surface that you're seeing here. This is what we're going to extrude. So now, after trimming off whatever we didn't need, we're just going to click on this, then click on E to extrude. So we're going to extrude it by a distance of, remember we're still here on this horizontal line, so I'm going to extrude it by a distance of 0.563 here, 0.563. So I'm going to come to 0.563, 0.563. Then let's check on the direction in which it's extruding. As you can see, it's pulling it up, which is okay, which is what we want. So I'm going to click on OK, and it's joining the bodies. So that is all fine and great. So I'm going to click OK. So as you guys can see, we have generated our body that we want, which is here. As you guys can see that. So that's the first step, but then we're still left with a challenge of, let's turn it the other way around. I like to face it the other way around. Yeah, So now we're still left with a challenge of this part here. Let me show you what I mean. This, as you can see, this part slants a bit, so that's the challenge you have right now. So how do we create that slanting surface? So that is the reason as to why we created in our sketches right here, we created some kind of this edge. As you can see, it's highlighting. So this is what we want. Exactly, this is what we want. So I'm going to come to this right here. Let me close this. So I want to work with this. So I'm going to come right here to edit. I want to edit the first sketch that we made here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this, come to this. Let me undo such that you guys can follow up. So after me aligning it like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my first sketch that I made, right click, then come to edit sketch. So after you've clicked on edit sketch, you're going to come to this part that I told you to add, click on it, then you're going to press E on your keyboard to extrude. So now let's change the viewing angle. As you can see right here, our extrusion is about to happen. So I'm going to do it on both sides. So I'm going to change it to symmetrically. So it's going to be working on both sides. So as I'm pulling it this side, it will be pulling the other side as well. Why am I doing that? Because as you can see, this extrusion of ours, this sketch was not necessarily at the edge right here. It is at this point, so we need to trim off some part of our portion of this body using the other side, and some part will be trimmed off using this other side that is being cut off. So yeah, after we have done that, I'm just going to click OK. Click OK. So after doing that, we see that our changes have not been shown. So I can close my sketch. Our changes have not been shown because we have not moved the timeline. So I'm going to come down here to this black thing right there, then I'm going to pull it to the end. So just wait. Okay, you cannot be able to see that, and now we see that the remaining portion has been trimmed off. So as you can see, this is our figure. So let me come to this edge once again. I'm going to click on this so that you guys can see what I mean. So now the whole shape has been made. We have created the whole body that we wanted here. So now that we are done with that, what we're going to do next is we are going to start creating the holes. What I mean is we're now going to move on to this. So how are we going to work on this? So we are done with the body of creating the body that we wanted. Now we're going to begin drilling holes into the body. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it upside down, I would say. So we're going to turn it upside down. So let's come here, click on this. So I would like to rotate it like so, like that. That's how I want to rotate it. So after rotating it that way, I'm just going to come and click on front, then I'm going to rotate it like that. That's how I like to work on my things. Escape. So I'm going to open up my sketch, not this preferably. So you're going to activate your second sketch. If you followed what I did, you're going to activate your second sketch. Now after activating your second sketch, let's take a look at what we're going to be doing here. So what we're going to do is, right now we're looking at this majorly. We are done with the upper part. We shall come back to it later for reference. So let's look at what we have here. So on this body right here, we have a 13 divided by 16 counter bore of 0.27 depth of material under the counter bore. Then we can actually start with this, then move on to this. So let's start with this, then we shall move on to the smaller circles, then finally we shall come to this other side of the body. So let's start with the counter bore that we have here. So I'm going to come to what are we going to do? So we're going to create a circle here. This circle, the outer circle we see is about 13 divided by 16. 13 divided by 16. You'll need to divide that value in your calc. So for me, I have my calc here. 13 divided by 16 is about 0.8125. That is the value of the outer circle. Then the value of the inner circle will be 0.37. As you can see, it's the same size as these other circles that are being used here. So it's 0.37. So let's draw that counter bore. So under counter bore, we draw it using the whole feature. So I'm going to come here, since our center point is already known. So I'm going to come here, then click on this center point, like so. So after I do this, I am going to create a counter bore. For some of you may be having a simple, so you're going to move to the whole type, which is counter bore. Then they have not told us that it's going to be having any kind of screw-like nature, so we're going to leave it as simple. Then we also don't really care if it's going to be flat or angled, because let's check this out and you see. Okay, let's see counter bore. Yeah, we do not care if it's going to be flat or angled, because our hole is going to be a through hole. Our hole is going to be a through hole. This hole right here is going to be a through hole. So let us see what we are going to do now. As you can see right here, how do I show you guys here? As you can see right here, this is the counter bore we're going to draw. This right here from this side, this is the counter bore. Then this is the through hole we're going to create. This, as you can see here, it's going out. These are inner features. The dotted lines are always inner features that we're going to look at. So the biggest counter bore we have is from the hole that we're going to create right now. So as we said, since I've specified the features here, we're going to come to the depth. The depth really doesn't matter. So one thing I'd like to show you guys again is that the plane we're working on here is, you see, we're working on the plane that we created our this surface of ours, the second sketch, where we placed the second sketch, and that plane is the distance of 0.563. It's the distance of 0.563 above the surface, because I've turned it the other way around. So it's now that distance above the surface. So you can see here, that's why you can see this blue outline, which is our plane, lying some distance away from the surface of our body. So any distances that we're going to be measuring, like they're saying, we're going to leave about 0.27 of material under the core bore. So what we're going to do there is we want to subtract 0.27 of material. So what they mean is, here, right here, the distance from here, this material that is left here should be 0.27. So what distance are we going to work on of that depth? Remember, we're starting from here, so we're just going to subtract 0.27 from the 0.563, such that we remain with this distance here. 0.27 of material left under the counter bore here, 0.27, then we are going to subtract it from 0.563 to remain with the distance we need for the counter bore. So we're going to come here. So as we said, this distance is, we don't really care about it, because our hole, this one is going to be a through hole, and we said its diameter is 0.37, not so, 0.37 from here. Said its diameter is the same as this, the diameter of this outer circles here, which is 0.37. then the diameter of the circle that you got from the calculator dividing 13 by 16 is 0.8. So I'm going to put it here, 0.8125. 0.8125. Then what is the depth of the counter bore? The depth of the counter bore is the value that we are going to obtain from our subtraction between what is going to be left under the counter bore, which is here, what is going to be left under the counter bore, and the height from our plane. So the height from our plane is 0.563 minus the 0.27. We shall remain with 0.293, which will be the depth of our counter bore. The depth of our counter bore here will be 0.293. So as you guys can see, you can now see that it comes up right here. So let's view it from this side. As you can see, this is our counter bore right here, which is this big part. Then the material that you see below it is the material that they're talking about, which is about 0.27 material under the counter bore. Then this is our through hole that passes through. So okay, hope you guys have understood that. So let's get back and click OK. So I'm going to click on OK. So let it update that. So let's change our view a bit. This side, as you guys can see now, we've created that hole. So our next thing we're going to do is we're going to create these 4 holes. Let's reduce it a bit. So we're going to create these 4 holes. So you see that we have this, and by the way, okay, I'm going to show you, in case you're facing any problem whereby you're trying to drill the hole and your hole is not going in the direction that you want, I'm going to show you how we're going to be able to reverse the direction of that hole, because that's what I faced in my first project that I was doing. So that problem is solved. So you're going to be able to do that as well, instead of going the other long way around of creating circles, then extruding or cutting into the depth of the material. So what we're going to do is we're going to create 4 through holes like this, since all these 4 circles have 4 through holes. But remember, all these 4 circles are 0.196 in diameter, and all of them are found on a circle of 1.5 millimeters. So what we're going to do is we're going to create the circle of 1.5 millimeters. Then we're going to create these through holes of 0.196. So let's get on to Fusion 360. So we're going to come here. You can come to Edit Sketch. It's always better to come here to Edit Sketch instead of creating another sketch. So I'm going to come to Edit Sketch, then I'm going to spin it. So I'm going to create my circles. So let's create circles. Let's create a circle of 1.5 millimeters. So after creating this circle of 1.5 millimeters, remember it's just there to help us locate the points. I'm going to turn it into a construction circle or construction line, whatever you need to call it. So after doing that, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to point, then I'm going to create a point. I'm going to come here, snap it right there. Then I'm going to use the circular pattern feature. I'm going to say OK. So I'm going to come to circular pattern feature, which is down here. Click on this point, then let us select the center point. So how many circles do you have? We have 4 circles, so I'm going to create 4 circular point features. So as you can see, it positions them directly where I want them to be. on the 4 positions, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So yes, that is wonderful. So after doing that, what we're going to do next is we're going to create boreholes. That's what we're going to do. So we're going to create a borehole right here. Let's create the borehole. So I'm going to click on, I'm going to come to solid hole, then I'm going to click on this point right here, as you can see, and I'm going to click on this point right here, this point right here, then this point right here. So the number one thing we're going to notice is, remember here we see that these two circles right here are similar, these two are similar, only that this has, remember our plane is lying here and there is a hole, there is material up above this and there is no material up above this. So we need to put that as well into consideration when we are doing all this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create boreholes. I'm going to create boreholes. So let's do this. I'm going to come to right here. Since we know that all of these circles right here have the same size of the outer circles, which is 0.37. We shall work on this as well later to create out this other point. So you see that this is 0.37, then this is also 0.37 outside as well, then they have the same size of the boreholes, and you find that they all have 0.2 material under the slot, under that borehole or under the slot, whatever. So what we're going to do here, it's under the slot, then here it's under the bore. So let's work on all of them at once, then you can see. Let's see what we're going to do. Let's see. I really don't want to confuse you guys, so let me start by working on these two, probably such that you guys can understand. I want to do it in a very simple way that you guys can understand. So I'm going to work on these two, then I'm going to work on these two. So let's do that. So let me remove this, then let me remove this. Oh, let me, this are what we want, then these two are what we're going to leave out for now. So we're going to create remember it's a counter bore, simple. So the height really doesn't matter because we want it to go through, but what is important is what is the size of our counter bore. Remember our depth under the material this time is 0.2, so we're going to say 0.563 minus 0.2. So let me repeat that again. So it's going to be 0. Remember this distance right here, as you can see from this figure, 0.2 is the depth of the material left. So but the total depth from our surface is 0.563. So we're going to subtract those values for us to get the depth of the counter bore, which is 0.363. 0.363. So this is the value I'm going to put here, 0.363. Then I think it's always better to look at these things from this kind of perspective. That's what I always like to do in order for me to see what's happening when I'm drilling my holes. So 0.363, then the diameter of our counter bore should be 0.37. Then the size of our hole should be, of our through holes should be 0.196. So it's going to be 0.196. So as you guys can see right here, So I'm going to click on OK. So let it create the holes. Oh, and by the way, let's do this. I promised to show you how it would appear. So I'm going to just click on any point, like let's say if I clicked on this point right here, or maybe before I do that, after we have done whatever we did, so we're going to come to our timeline and update everything, and we shall be able to see the hole that we created. Let's come here. So here you can be able to see so right here you can be able to see the counter bore that we created and the hole that we created as well. But what you can't see right here is the hole that we created, right? Because there is material above. So what we need to do is come here, then we're going to create a circle of what? 0. We need to create a circle of 0.37. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to come right here to the sketch. You can come back to edit sketch. Let's turn it back this side round. So I'm going to come right here, click on this point, create a circle of 0.37 millimeters. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and select it. So in most cases, like as you can see here, I'm not able to select my circle, as you can see, because I'm hovering over so many things. So what you do is you put your cursor above that circle that you want, then left long press for some time, some few seconds, just hover over it, then long press for some short time, then come and select profile. As you can see, it has been selected now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude. You see, I'm going to extrude, but for what depth am I going to extrude? As you can see, we are right here at the plane. You see, that is where our circle is. It's at the plane. So we want to extrude this feature up and cut through the material that was left. Our hole was created down, but then there was this material that was covering us from seeing the hole that we had created. So I'm going to extrude outward and say OK. So then I'm going to update this feature like so. Then I'm going to turn it. I don't know what's happening with this feature, so I'm going to come right here. Oops, right here. No. So let's say I want to view this. The thing can be so disturbing. I want to like, okay, so as you can see, we have created the hole and you can be able to see through it now. As you can see here, you can now be able to see through it. So the next part of the challenge that we have, in case you're wondering maybe what did I really do, let me send it back. As you can see, this was what we had at first. Then after we created that extrusion and cut through the material, this is what we are able to see. So we are able to see the hole that we went through, and this is the C-bore, as you can see here, that darker part of the material, just the same as you can see here. So the next part that we're going to work on now is this these two circles right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two. I'm going to select these two, then I'm going to create holes. I think I'm going to create holes. So holes of diameter what? Diameter 0.196 on both of them. So I'm going to select this, come to hole, click on it, select this feature right here, then select this feature as well right here. Then so what I told you guys last time, and I didn't really mention it a few minutes back, was you can use this to reverse the direction at which you're going to. As you can see, you reverse the direction where your hole is going to go. So if your holes are going in the wrong direction, you can be able to use this flip direction thing in order to reverse the direction of where the holes are going. So I'm going to click back, and you see they're going in the direction I want. Click this and they're coming up. So yep, so let's get on back to this now. So we're going to create our bore holes. Yeah, so we're going to create the bore holes of let's see, what we're going to do here is we're going to say the bore holes have what, a diameter of, it's going to be 0 point, the same values that you actually have here, because these bore holes are the same as this, but just that I wanted to work on them differently. So we have exactly the same values that are the other side, only that we shall need to remove some portions of the material the other side. So that's what we're going to do next. So let's just say okay. Let me flip it a bit so that you can see it well. So I'm just going to click OK. So let it create them. So as you can see right here, we've created our bore holes right there, as you can see. So these are the holes I've created, but shall need to remove some portions on the side here. So I'm going to move back. So I'm going to come back to this second sketch of ours that we have been playing around with the whole time. So I'm going to come back to edit sketch again, spin it back, then I'm going to add circles here. I'm going to add circles here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to circle. So then I'm going to create a circle here. The circle should be 0.37. Click on it. So the circle should be 0.37, as you can see right here, 0.37 wide slot with a 0.2 material under. So after doing this, what we're going to do is we're going to create tangent lines from this circle. So one of the big things you're going to do is first fix your, as you can see my lines are not fixed. In case you have a black outline, that means your lines are already fixed, but for this case mine are not fixed. So I'm going to just click on the padlock feature. I'm going to come and click on this padlock, then click on my different parts of my lines. So I'm going to come on, I'm going to fix them. So yep, after I've fixed these features of mine, I could do this for the circle as well. So after I do that, I'm just going to say okay. So after I've done that, I'm going to say let's create some lines right here horizontally like that. Enter, escape, I mean, come back, create another line here touching the circle like that. Then I could as well just join them like that, and I say okay. So what I want to make sure to do is this line should be tangential to my circle. So I'm going to come to this tangential thing. I'm going to click on my line, then click on the circle, click on the line, click on the circle. As you can see now, these two lines right here are tangential to my circle. So after I've done that, I'm just going to click on OK. Then I'm going to use my trim feature to remove the parts that I don't need. So I'm going to come and remove this, remove this, remove this, and remove this. So from our sketch, we would be able to see that so from our sketch, we're able to see that we already created the bore hole and the through hole already, so the part of the material that we needed to remove was just this, only this portion of the material. That's all we needed to remove. But just as well, we could have just done this. We can just do this to remove these extra portions. Then after I do that, I can just click on OK. So you have this whole feature to just click on. Then I'm going to say symmetry, because I don't want to do the same thing that I did here and do it here. So I'm just going to come to symmetry right here. So after clicking on symmetry, it's going to ask me for objects. I'm going to click on actually, before we do this, we shall need a symmetrical point. So let's draw. Okay, we had already set up a line here, so that's fine. So I'm just going to come to symmetry, then let's select the component that or the body, this. After selecting this, we want to come and select the mirror line. Select mirror line, which is this. As you can see, it has already set up for me this same object that I had here on this side. So after I've done that, I can just click on this, then shift and click on this as well. After I do that, I click on E on my keyboard to extrude. So now let's look at it from a different angle. So I'm going to extrude these features right here by a distance of what? By what depth? The depth of the counter hole. So I'm going to find that we need to leave a material of about 0.2 under the slot that we're going to create. So a material of 0.2. So 0.2, we're going to come back here. So we're going to say, since we want to leave material of 0.2 here, we're going to say 0.563 minus 0.2, which will give us 0.363. So we're going to come here and we're going to extrude them by a distance of 0.363. So as you guys can see right here, we're extruding the material by a distance of 0.363, and the remaining part will be 0.2 of material under this. So I'm just going to click on OK, and we will have created, so we need to update our timeline like that, and you see we have already created what we wanted to create. So you can come back to the front view, and as you look at it here, we see that we have already created the holes that we wanted. Now let's move on to the last part of our work that we are doing. So the last part is about us putting these 4 holes. So one thing that we see, so this is the last part we're working on now. We want to create a 10 diameter 32 pitch center on face holes on a circle, which are lying on a circle of about 1.5 millimeters of diameter. So I'm going to come here. So what I want to do is I want to create an offset plane on this surface, because remember, as you can see right here, these holes are drilled at 90 degrees to our what? At 90 degrees to our surface. So that's exactly what we want to do. So we want to set up a plane that is an offset plane that is so this will be the material. So it's tilted like this, so we can't really work. Our plane is like this and it's tilted like this, so we can't really work on a plane like this and set up our holes. So what we do is we create an offset plane that is like this, such that we shall be viewing it like it's horizontal, and drill the holes here. So that's what we're going to basically do in this remaining part of what we're supposed to be doing. So let's do that very fast. So I'm going to come here and construct offset plane. So what I can do as well is I don't really need the sketches anymore, so I'm going to close this sketch. So as you can see, I've closed the sketch. So I'm going to come on construct offset plane. So I'm going to select this surface. Then I want it to be on that surface, so I'm going to leave it as 0, 0. So I'm going to click on OK. Then next I'm going to right click, then create sketch. So as you guys have probably known, I like to work on my things when they're standing and not when they're lying on the ground. So I'm going to change, I'd like to view it on I'd like to view it kind of like this. Okay, so I'm going to come right here. So I'm going to create a circle. Come here, click on circle. So on this center point right here, we're going to create a circle of 1.5 millimeters. Press OK. So as you can see, it's kind of tilted. That's because I'm looking at it like this, but that face is kind of tilted like this, but that's fine because it won't affect us, and we are working on the plane that we already created, so that's fine. So what we're going to do is this circle, we shall make it a construction circle as well, and because its major point is really to give us the reference points. So as you can see here, these lines, these are holes of ours at angles of they are not exactly above this as we did last time. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a line of 45 degrees such that you can locate this point and use the circular feature to locate these other points. So that's basically what we're going to do. So I'm going to create a horizontal line here. So I'm going to create a horizontal line like that. Escape. Then I'm going to position this line in coincidence with the center point like that. Then I'm going to make this line a construction line. Then I'm going to draw another line from this center point at an angle of 45 degrees. So let's first position it there. Then I'm going to click on D for dimension. I'm going to come click on this line, click on this horizontal line that you created, so that angle should be 45. So enter. So it gives us the 45 degree angle. So after we have done that, I can make this line as well. Let's escape. I can make this line as well a construction line because I don't want it affecting any work that we're going to be doing. So I'm going to hide my dimensions. Then after I do that, as well as the constraints, so after I do that, I'm going to create a point at this intersection part of these two lines. So I'm going to come to create point. I'm going to put it right there. So after I've done that, I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to come and use the circular feature, circular pattern, select that point, select the path they are going to be placed on. So I'm going to select the circle. Then I'm going to say there are 4 holes that we're going to create, and we shall say OK. As you can see, we have now set up 4 holes right here. As you can see, I've set up 4 holes right here. So now after doing that, what we're going to do next is we're going to go into the holes feature. We're going to go to holes feature right here, and we're going to drill holes of on these distances. I'm sorry to say that the units we're using are probably not the units that have been recommended on this document, because if you check on the standard screw over 10 by 32, you find that its diameter and all its values are kind of bigger than our usual components, and that brings up a problem when you're actually working with standard screws for fixing our models. So basically right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you how you can be able to create these features. Then later on, after the lecturer has given us updates, we can be able to update the data using the timeline and edit on the features that we needed to edit. So yeah, so let's create, I'm going to create a screw of diameter this, then the pitch, we're really not going to include the pitch. So let's just do something just to make the point of completing these points of ours. Then we shall make, because I'm really not sure. I've consulted a few of my colleagues as well, and we're yet to really find out what this truly means, since it doesn't match up with the standard screws and diagrams that were the models that we're designing or that we have been assigned to design. So yeah, so let me show you how we're going to do it. So I'm going to come right here to this. I'm going to come to solid holes, then I'm going to click on hole. So remember what I said. So you see this time our holes are facing the opposite direction, so you want to change this, as you can see. So we flip the direction such that it goes down. So what we're going to do is we're going to create, it's not a counter bore, so we're just going to create a simple hole, but it's angled. As you can see from this, you can see that it has an edge right there. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to select the edge. Then what is the diameter? Let's take the so well, we're going to do this, all these 4 holes will be 0.1 and 0.32. Those are the values we're going to take for now. So we're going to take 0.1 for the diameter of the screws. So 0.1 for the diameter of the screws, then 0.3. Let's check it right here. 0.32 for the depth. That's what we're going to use right now. 0.32. So yep, let's view it at a different dimension. So as you guys can see, that right there is what we have. So this stuff at an angle 0.1, 0.2. Nope. So it's simple. Sorry, let's change it to 0.1. 0.1. This is an 0.1. So after we do this, we're just going to click on OK. I think this is fine, since they have not even specified the angle. So I'm just going to say it's fine. So let's just, for finishing the model, let's just click on OK. So these are the holes that we have created. So let's spin it a bit. The other side, this side. So as you guys can see, this is the whole design we have made, and we're really done with everything that we needed to do. So it's everything right here. So lastly, one last thing we're going to do is we're just going to spice everything up by turning it into color blue. So let's go to appearance right here. For my, I chose to put it on my, I don't know how that is called. So I'm going to come here to modify, then you can come to appearance, or I can just press the letter A. Modify appearance. As you can see, they say you can press letter A to show it. So I'm just going to press letter A on my keyboard, and it will be able to show up on this side. So I'm just going to pull it out. Then I'm going to, for you guys who are just starting on this, what you do is come to these lower folders, come to paint, double click on paint, then come to metallic. After metallic, then you can be able to choose any color that you want here. So I'm going to choose blue, drag it and drop it on the material. So that is it. Since I already created a blue one, I think let me go with green. Green is fine. So I'm going to say okay. So let's spin it around and see. So yep, that is it. And that is it for this video. So well, if you've learned something new and you've enjoyed the video as well, please give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Beast up.